Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are here despite all of the chaos. I don't know how we do it sometimes, but that's what happens when you go live. This is our Cantina hour. Welcome back, everybody. As today we have a really great guest. A really, really awesome guy is going to be joining us, Tommy, who you've seen us talk to before on about Andor. He has some Kickstarter campaigns that he's done, and now he's going to be joining us tonight to talk about his Kickstarter campaign for Mustn't Tell, an all ages horror comic. And then we're also going to talk about some Acolyte trailer because I know Tommy's a big Star Wars fan. If you follow him on Twitter at all, you know he's out there getting the well-deserved recognition he should for his absolute shit posting that he does. But first things first, folks, my beer tonight is called Proven Theory. It is from Benchtop Brewing in Richmond, Virginia. Going to go ahead because Tommy is proven and he is awesome. And then also due to the fact that, I don't know, just been a long day. So with that said, Lauren, throwing it to you. What are you drinking? How's it going?
So I'm drinking a local beer. It's going pretty good. If you watched last week, you watched me fall apart into the oblivion that was most likely the flu. But I feel like $1,000,000 now because I have fully recovered and I am drinking Chewy, a sour ale with pineapple hibiscus and vanilla. And as you can see, the can is chewy. I did buy this beer without even trying it. How could I not? It looks beautiful. But it's actually a really nice, light, great sour. And this is from Hourglass Brewing. That's a local brewery here in Orlando. They have 2 locations. They do all sorts of really cool kind of styles of beer. And I would say that they are probably the most geek-themed brewery in Orlando. Their original location is in Longwood, and it looks like, it's just, they have a TARDIS painted that says my other time machine is a DeLorean. They have a huge painting of Rick Moranis and Spaceballs. They have stormtroopers, and the whole place is just geek heaven. And then their other location is also all geek heaven. So of course that they would make this awesome can. And that is what I'm drinking. You can see it's a little like pinkish. I haven't had too much. I'm still letting it settle, but it's really good. I got it in my Cad Bane glass. So
awesome. Perfect glass for a perfect night. Tommy, you handsome devil, we haven't seen you in like a month. We saw you in Orlando recently.
Yes.
And in real life.
In real life, we
crazy. Thank you for the pizza that you got me. That was really nice. That saved the day. Yes. I was really hungry, and I was like fending off the Grim Reaper from 2 hot dogs that I ate that were not good. They were the color of like the wall behind me, and I was like, too bad, and I ate them. And then the rest of the weekend, I could barely move. So
convention hot dogs.
Shout out to you guys for getting me a pizza, which wasn't good technically because it was still the con pizza. But
honestly, it was Papa John's, so it really wasn't that good because I did try some and it just.
But there's like bad food that becomes like insulation for your stomach, which is like really important in like college, and that's kind of what it was. Like when I ate that pizza, it was just like you're now a complete person again, and you're not going to puke on the table. So
we are one with the za.
Exactly.
Well, awesome, man. Yeah, it was awesome. I know how it could be. Conventions are typically long days, and we ran into you, and you got to eat some food. We got to say what's up. You got to do some rad things. But before we dive into Disney parks, because I know Lauren wants to chat with you about some Disney parks because she knows your love for Disney. Let's talk about this comic book, man. We're here to talk about some comic books, and this isn't your first rodeo, so to speak. You've done some really cool stuff in the past. We've gotten to read some of your work in the past, and now you're back again with Mustn't Tell. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit? I know you mustn't tell, but you should tell us a little bit about this comic book, man.
Yeah, it's a bad prompt to have that title as the title. But yeah, no, it's a comic we're currently kickstarting, which I don't know how to. I can join the chat, and I have to connect to YouTube. That's fine. BA, you're in the chat. I see. Please send the Kickstarter link. I got people inside.
Also, yes, we're also going to be dropping the Kickstarter link throughout, so people can sign up because that's what you should do. They have crushed their goal, but make sure to sign up.
So it is a all ages horror comic. We're currently kickstarting the first 2 of 5 issues. It's about 2 friends named Ryan and Jake. They are just 2 like lovable 10-year-olds who are crazy, playing their DSs, jumping on trampolines, playing in the playground, all the stuff you did when you were 10. But there was a monster haunting Ryan's house, and there it is. And basically their entire plan is it's tough to talk about because it's only the first 2 issues. I don't want to spoil anything, but basically their plan is to kill the monster, and the comic is essentially how they do so. It's a bit hard to talk about because the general pitch is like, what if Disney made an animated horror film, which means that not only is it full of jokes, it's like a story for everyone. There's also an absurd amount of like emotional bits, and there's a lot of twists and turns. So it's a little bit tough to talk about, but for people who kind of join in now and then make it towards the end of the series, I promise you're going to absolutely love it, and it's probably going to make you cry several times. Everything I write apparently does that, but what's the point of a story if it's not going to make you cry, is what I always say.
I mean, so absolutely, right? And it's an all ages book, you said too. And so is there a certain age cutoff you would recommend, like anybody below a certain age, or is anyone who can basically read words?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to like Stranger Things, where it's like one of those things that's like, so I guess how I'm trying to write it is that it's like universal enough that if a kid can handle a certain amount of scariness, like there's really no kind of age limit for it. I would say 10 and up. That's me being safe, so I don't get like sued by a parent. There's nothing like violent. There's no gore. There's no like bad words or anything. It's just that when we were trying to create like the monster for the comic, there's not really a way to make a comic scary if you're not like ripping someone's head off, because you can't like jump scare in a comic. You get the page turn, which we've been using a lot.
Right.
But I had BA, who is in the chat. Hey, BA. He is basically the littlest freak, and he's amazing. And his goal was to basically just make it really hard to look at. So essentially, if like a kid could handle like, there's like those old like jump scare, like if you like when you were like 15, you do like the maze, and then if you like corner of the maze, a face jumps out and you like scare your friends with it. If you can handle that, you're fine. So it's definitely scary. It's definitely like could be a lot for a kid, but 10 and up, give or take.
Sorry, Lauren. None for you. You're gonna be too scared, Lauren.
Hey, I've gotten braver lately. Well, that's the thing is, yeah, you can have an 8-year-old that doesn't bat an eye at anything terrifying, and then a 30-year-old that has nightmares. So
true. So we're trying to find someone right in the middle between those two.
Awesome. And I know there's some stretch goals. You guys have actually, I know, have crushed your goal, and there's 1 week left with dude, you guys have 114 backers with $5,000, which is absolutely incredible. You guys hit your goal really fast, which is super impressive, especially for a Kickstarter. It must have been all those hot dogs you were peddling on Twitter. But
I owe a lot of favors. People are coming for me.
What can you tell us about some of the things that people can get throughout, backing the Kickstarter? What are some cool things that you guys absolutely have?
Yeah. So for the standard pledges, we have a few different covers you can get. We got the standard 1A, 1B, or 1A, 2B, or no, my God, 1A, 2A. There we go. Those are just the standard covers. And then we have variants, which are really fun. Variant 1B was done by, her name's Ella, but I think she goes by like Sherelle. She's on Twitter. You can find her. She's the most talented artist I've ever met. No offense to all the other artists in the world. She helped us out she did the initial I created like a pitch document for the series, and she did like the initial artwork for it, which was really cool. So we took the like mock cover that she made and made one of the variants as that, and it looks really beautiful. I love it. And then variant 2B is a crossover for a comic that me and BA did back last year. That one's The Days. So it's like the two, Ryan and Jake from this series, interacting with the ghosts from The Days. And I thought that'd just be like a fun little like additional one, but a lot of people like that one, which is really cool. And then beyond that, we have sketches from BA and John, who John does the art we haven't mentioned yet. Sketches from BA and John. We're doing we call it the big sketch. It's like a sketch from all three of us. So John will draw the boys, and then BA will haunt it with the monster, and then I'll do like dialogue for it. And then I'm getting a spam call. And then the like bigger stuff, I'm trying to think what else we have. We can do like a pledge where you get all of this stuff, which is really cool. But then we also are doing the stretch goal, which I think we're like $200 away from that right now. And once we hit that, everyone gets 2 free trading cards based on a fictional line of toys that we're creating for the comic called Everyday Heroes, which is an insane idea I had. Do you guys know Rescue Heroes?
Of course, yes.
Like the old action figure line where it was like
Lauren doesn't like fun, so don't worry. No surprise.
I'm
She
like, I
doesn't
know
know
Rescue Rangers.
it was like the most like this is
My-
for boys toy that they've ever made ever. It was just pure like gender marketing. It was really dumb. But I had
Yeah, Matt. It's because I'm a girl and a victim of
Yeah,
societal
girls
pressures
can't
to
play with toys.
Barbies.
Weren't you playing with dolls in your make-believe kitchen, which clearly didn't help because your pancakes clearly didn't look like Wolverine still?
No, I'm not a great cook, but I did have a lot of Barbies and Moon Dreamers.
Anyways, so Everyday Heroes is a parody of that. So instead of like the cool jobs, like all those action figures are like buff construction workers and buff firefighters and buff policemen.
Everybody is buff.
Yeah, so we are doing buff men with 9-to-5 jobs, like buff car salesman, buff accountant.
So it's
buff,
basically
like,
Arnold Schwarzenegger from Jingle All the Way.
Exactly. It is exactly that. Or like John Cena and anything he's doing. So the trading cards. So if we hit the goal, we're only $200 away. Everyone gets 2 trading cards. One is for a used car salesman. It's basically like if we made Pokemon cards, but for people with those jobs. And then the next one, which we haven't announced yet, it was the big reveal, is for a restaurant host, which is in the comic as well. So it was just a fun excuse for me to like stuff a bunch of like one-time jokes into a trading card. If you go to the Kickstarter page, you can see the used cars salesman one. A lot of jokes in there. We're gonna get them printed out. It's basically just included anyone who gets a physical pledge. Like if you're getting comics in the mail, if we get $200 more, you get 2 trading cards, and then we'll do one for every issue moving forward. So there'll be 5 by the end of it.
Oh, and listen, kids, those are going to be worth a lot of money one day. I promise you. Pokemon cards, sure, they're cool, but these are limited edition mint Joe the Salesman.
Only so many sold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what led to the decision to be like, hey, I want to make a Disney-inspired horror book? So what were some things you might have pulled from your childhood, or just, what made you get to this place?
Trauma.
Stepping outside his front door.
Oh, yeah. It's an idea that it was one of the first comic ideas I had like 5 or 6 years ago. There was just like it's the stupidest thing to say. It was to say like I was gonna explain my parts of my own life, but I was like, it's a spoiler though, which is not a healthy way to live your life. But it is a spoiler to explain the exact backing of like, what created this story. But there's just a lot of kind of like unresolved things from my childhood, and I think I had a particularly rocky like pre-adolescence time, which made me like kind of hyper aware of that age when you're like not quite a teen yet, but you're expected to like be growing up.
Adults.
Yeah, so it's like that weird awkward time where like you know more than you should, but you don't know how to like handle it.
Right, you still want to jump on the trampoline, but it's not cool to do so anymore.
Yeah. Or like, like it's after you have Thanksgiving dinner, your mom will like randomly be like 9 glasses of wine in and then tell you some like deep family secret that you're like, oh, what is that? They're adopted? What? Just stuff like that, But there was just like one particular instance in my life, which, as I said, is weird that I can't say because it is a spoiler, which is so stupid. Right. But it led into this idea of kind of like the things that you repress from your childhood, like usually out of childhood fears, like those things that when you're looking back at.
Oh my God, that's terrifying, Matt.
Tommy's sleep paralysis demon right here is what we're saying.
I was so close to my screen when you did that. Oh God.
I was not prepared for that. You got me.
I was going to let you guys know I had some overlays from the Kickstarter campaign, but I felt like this was a very good moment to pull some jump scares out.
Thank God. I'm like, make it go away.
That was scarier than the comic. That's the monster from the comic. BA drew that. It's so good.
Wow.
He's inspired by like sickness and like illnesses. I was reading the comment. But yeah, so I think basically like the focus on that like time frame of when you don't quite know like how to handle new information, but you're being like all this new information is being dropped on you. It just is very much, I think, something that when I was that age, I wish I had something to like read or to watch that kind of discussed that exact time period. So that's what the story kind of is. It's just like that pre-adolescence. It's not necessarily about going to like middle school and like dealing with bullies. It's more about like internal like mental health struggles, like anxiety, like what the fear around that could be. And it's a lot of fun. There's so many jokes in it. I swear. I know that's heavy, which I think is why I kind of went like the Disney-esque route. Is because like for every 1,000 heavy things I write, I should probably throw a joke in. Um, so it's a good time.
Well, I think you're touching on something that's really important, and I guess I have a lot of this childhood trauma, right? Like my parents never let me talk about emotions, so I internalized everything. But I have been taking like both my kids have gone through therapy to kind of figure out how to work through their own emotions because they struggle with it, and that's something that we don't really ever let kids do. Even from a young age. My daughter's 5, and if you just sat there and listened to what she has to say, there are real fears. Like last night, she was having nightmares, and we're like, "What are you having nightmares about?" And she was like, "Zombies and all this." And then it comes to find out she was having nightmares about something like Scooby Doo, which to us isn't terrifying, but kids, man, like they don't really understand it. They don't know how to talk about it. And so like using a lot of these internalized fears, I think is a really, really good idea. And I have the cover right here real quick, which, I just want to shout out Tommy and the crew because my last name is Roth. So if for no other reason than to get this, it's because, somebody with a very cool last name decided to make this book happen. But this right here, this cover alone, it's very just, it has like kid art to it, but it's also like creepy at the same time.
Yeah, that's BA did the logo like freehand. And the really like the only pitch I gave him was try to make it scary but like childish. So we kind of did the whole like red rum from The Shining thing. So it's just trying to find the mix of like cutesy Disney-esque art with horrific BA monsters, which I probably should have explained. The comic has 2 artists. I've just been saying BA this whole time. But BA only does like 15% of the art. The rest of it is done by John McDaniel, who is doing this. It wasn't purposefully Disney, but like it looks very Disney-esque in the end now. But it's this like kind of cutesy, very childish kind of art. And when I was there it is. Yeah, you're so prepared for this. And when
I try so hard. But these are cool characters. Yeah, like that reminds me almost of Disney Recess. Is anybody familiar with the show Recess? That's kind of like the character drawings I get from these guys.
We all dreamt of like climbing that really tall playground in Recess and just going to the top of it. Yeah. But yeah, when I was trying to figure out how to like make it like scary, like a lot of it obviously is for childhood fears that like the whole point of the monster is to represent childhood fears. And a really specific one that I had that I didn't learn until after we created this isn't super universal, was when things felt out of place. And I wish I had a better example for this, but I always keep going back to like a Courage the Cowardly Dog or like different TV shows like SpongeBob.
Oh, I love that show though.
Like,
yes.
So like anytime there was a character in it that was like a different form of like animation or different medium, like if there was like a live action person in a cartoon suddenly, that freaked me out. There's like a gorilla in SpongeBob at some point. I remember as a kid that always freaked me out.
It was like the live action gorilla. That's what was so freaky. It was like the live action gorilla amongst.
Exactly. Like you could see its eyes at some point. Like it freaked me out. And I just remember being like a little kid. Just anytime there was like a claymation in a TV show that was like normally a cartoon or a live action, there was claymation suddenly. Stuff like that freaked me out. Which I thought was a more universal type thing. But it gave me the idea that when we create this monster, it shouldn't look like it's a part of the world around it. So we have John's art doing like the cutesy Disney stuff. And then when I kind of pitched it to BA and told him how to draw the monster, it was a lot more of like a realistic looking monster. So it kind of sticks out a little bit. This is kind of a spoiler for issue 2, but there's going to be one point where you see the monster a little bit more clearly. And BA is going to include pictures of skin in the monster's like visual. So there's going to be like a little bit of like a live action element to it, which is going to be really gross. We haven't gotten to that page yet. That's actually literally the next page we have to do, but it's going to be nasty, and I'm very excited for that. So hopefully that actually scares people. We'll see.
Well, I have this right here, like this looks like a very kind of like looks from just this page alone, going through the Kickstarter, there's some really cool moments. It looks like you guys do a really good job of building suspense because as kids, again, since we're kind of talking about that kid aspect, who remembers the lights are all off and everything from a tree to a shadow, and you're very much creeped out by whatever it is, the shadows of the dark. And that's kind of what this is like. It's only illuminated by whatever light is behind it. You can't really see what's going on. It's a very good job of you. I think shout out to the artist for building that suspense within a comic book.
Yeah, and another part of that is the monster doesn't like operate on like physics. It kind of just teleports around, which is another idea. Like when you're a kid, you get that like tunnel vision and everything is just like, coming out of nowhere. So yeah, a lot of it was just us trying to figure out like how does a kid's brain work when there's like no logic involved whatsoever. So we got to use like the darkness to our advantage, and BA's coming in and like drawing like basically John like sets like a foundation for him. And there's also like different colors of like black that John can't use that BA can use. So like it like there's like the realistic like what your eyes would usually see, where it's kind of like a dark gray type black. And then there's like the unrealistic like absolute black that would not naturally kind of happen in a room. And that's where BA lives.
I love the Ren and Stimpy comparison that somebody just commented. I thought, because they would have those scenes where all of a sudden it was close up and gross and it was like hair on the nose or something.
Oh yeah.
BA is Quick Man, by the way. I don't know if that was clear.
There you go. Yeah.
He's on in the comments.
He is. Well,
so you mentioned though, childhood trauma and the things you were scared of as a child. So in writing this, was it a little bit therapeutic for you?
Yeah. There's gonna be like in issue 5, there's gonna be like a little kind of like a sign off. That's just like closing the book on all of this. And that one, I'm very excited to like just kind of close this part of my life, because like the inspiration for this is like deeply personal. And if like anyone, I think some people probably read it in the chat, but the opening scene for issue 1 is actually set in modern day, and then flashes back to when they're kids. And the modern day stuff is very much pulled from my own life. So it's just this moment of like, kind of like, I don't want to spoil it. This moment of like embarrassment that took me back to my childhood. And then from that, this story was created. So I do think that once we get to issue 5 and once like the whole story is resolved, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be like a nice moment of just closure, and then hopefully other people telling me that they had similar experiences and they're getting similar closure, because that's kind of the whole point of this whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that one picture made me like think back to like running and jumping on my bed.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? This one?
No, Matt, stop.
The first one that I thought of was that I also don't know how universal it is, but that like feeling of when you have like a light switch and then a bunch of stairs and you have to like turn the light switch off and then run up the stairs. And every time you always assume there's a monster behind you.
Oh, see,
like
I never had stairs.
That feeling of being chased. Yeah, like real ones know. You would always like, all right, I got 5 seconds to get up here. There's 10 steps. There's 15 steps. You just like, you're Usain Bolt, man. You're training for the Olympics.
Exactly.
That light is off and you're in your room in a heartbeat.
I would go on all 4s up the stairs.
Just absolute feral with it. And then you just like, you shut your door, you dive into your bed, you're under the covers, you're out of breath, and you're just like under your covers. The monster can't obviously find you because you're under your covers. However, you sound like a 75-year-old asthmatic just dying underneath your covers, like, and just ridiculous. For anybody who might want to check out and is very interested in the trading card, real quick, this is our man right here. This looks very OG, like Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh-esque, which I'd have to imagine is that kind of like the inspiration behind the cards. I know we talked about Pokemon, but like I wasn't expecting it initially to be like, man, this is it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we basically took a Pokemon card. Don't tell Nintendo. We took a Pokemon card and just kind of like revamped the whole thing. So it was just, I love when I get to do like Mad Libs type jokes where switch this out for a joke, switch this out for a joke. So I just went through and just added in as many jokes as I could possibly think of. So yeah, it's like if you're playing a used car salesman in a duel.
This thing passed inspection. We got it from a kind old lady who didn't want to drive it anymore. Ignore the stains and that smell. This baby glides. Discard 3 pride points every use. Listen, I'm on your side here. I want you to walk out with a great deal and a great ride. Highly ineffective. Attack can be used as many times as necessary. That's amazing. No, this is, where do you pull your jokes from, man? Like how, and why aren't you like doing stand-up comedy throughout the streets of New York City at this point?
It's scary. I think. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I don't think I'm like a funny person in like the moment as much. Like I like to think it depends on the mood I'm in. I think like sometimes I can be quick and I can be witty, but there's also sometimes where I'm not at all, and like I need like 20 minutes to respond to someone. So when I get to like same with like Twitter, when I get to like sit down and like think about a joke, it's a lot more fun for me and it's a lot less stressful. So I don't know if I could ever do like proper stand up. I would need to like really rehearse it ahead of time. Um, but yeah, I've always liked jokes and humor, and I think the funniest stuff is trying to turn like everyday things like a used car salesman into like the absurdity that everything kind of naturally has to it. I kind of grew up just like listening to different stand-up comedians like Patton Oswalt, Mike Birbiglia, and that's always been their kind of thing, is to just take the most simplest everyday thing and not even make it relatable, but just make it just bring out the absurdity in it in a way that makes people think like, oh, that is a weird thing that we do, and that's my favorite kind of joke.
I feel like that was Seinfeld too. Just like, oh yeah, that is bizarre that we do that, and it's so commonplace, and yeah.
I
But
very
that's
much
good to
agree.
laugh at the dumb things.
Yeah, you gotta laugh at the dumb things. Life is too serious, especially nowadays, and everybody takes themselves way too seriously, especially in an online presence. So that's one of the things I really do appreciate about you, is like I can always count on you when I'm having a shitty day. I'm just scrolling through Twitter, and there's my man with one of the just most outlandish, out of left field things, and I'm just waiting for the joke. Did you see today the blue milk that Trumu was coming out with in honor of the May the 4th? I'm gonna be like feral Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi when that thing drops. Like I cannot wait for some reason to just buy the entire stock of this.
It's gonna confuse so many old people at the grocery store.
They're gonna think everything is just like, Gerald, do you see how spoiled this is? Who is buying this? As there's like,
oh, and like only old people are buying milk at this point too.
Yeah, who drinks actual milk? I'm gonna drink that and just have an absolutely stomach ache for days. But before we do actually transition to Star Wars, I do want to know a couple things. Like, what are some of your favorite things that you're just most excited for about this comic book, and what is like your one line pitch to anybody who may be on the fence about Mustn't Tell?
Oh, get off the fence. I mean, the thing I'm most excited for the comic is just I think the ending of it, which is a weird thing to say when I'm trying to pitch the first two issues, but it's something that we're like really building up. I think this is mean to say, but I've been kind of bored with comics lately. Like I feel like a lot of them are just kind of the same thing over and over again. And I'm not saying ours is better, but I am saying ours is different, which I'm very excited about. I think it's tackling topics that aren't necessarily tackled in comics in that kind of way. And I think it's just kind of telling a story that's just a bit different. And a lot of that will be clear in issue 5. Maybe not right now, but we'll get there. So I'm excited to kind of push the whole thing out, get it out into the world, and then just see if other people have similar trauma to me.
You're gonna find out that we're all alike in some way or another, and then Mustn't Tell turns into the name of Tommy's weekly Tuesday sessions of therapy, where we all meet in a basement of a church or something, and there you go. We all turn into like, so what was your paralysis demon like? And it just turns into a big thing.
And I'm just there screaming the next comic.
Well, no, I think you did hit on something that a lot of the casual comic readers, or maybe those who are just kind of intimidated by comics, there's a lot of things like, oh, it's superheroes, kind of the big thing, right? Superheroes is what everybody thinks of when they associate with comic books. And I think kind of just looking at the different things that you're bringing to the table at this Kickstarter, it is very different and it's very exciting, especially when it's appealing to all ages. Because I have an 8-year-old right now who's getting into reading, and he's doing that through comic books. And so I know I am backing this comic book mainly so because I want him to read it. I want to hear his thoughts. And that's really exciting. Like a lot of comic books these days are going towards darker, more adult theme, but yours is like, no, man, like we're going to everybody here. Then that's amazing.
Yeah. And I think you can do the dark stuff and still have it appeal to everyone, which once again is why I went to like the Disney route of explaining it, just because they always have, the opening to Up. That's
oh my God. Yeah.
So yes,
crushes you.
I'll never forget watching that in the theater, being like, oh my God, they're at a gynecologist. This is what the hell?
Well, you think it's like this cute old people story, and next thing you know, she's dead, and you're like, I'm sorry. That's the
Right.
first 5 minutes of this.
I was still processing, did she have a
fun?
miscarriage or was she told she can't have kids? Like, I was still processing that just happened in a Disney movie as I'm sitting next to my child. But my daughter's 11, and like, she is one of those, she's right at that age where it's like she's still a kid, but she's becoming an adult, and she's obsessed with Stranger Things. She's rewatching it for the 17th time today. So I feel like this is right up her alley as well.
Yeah, she's our demographic. Does she have a credit card?
Yeah, right. Pretty much. She knows where to find mine.
Cool, perfect. Send her the link. It'll be great.
It's saved on my laptop. Just
Well, Up, yes. Up also made. If you didn't cry during Up, like, raise your hand so that we can just find you in a back alley and beat you, because I think you should be going to therapy, first of all. Shout out to my mom who's in the chat, by the way. Yeah, I usually text her when we go live, because for once, my mom supports me. So, yay, Mom, this is a comic book. You should go support this comic book. If not, I'm not coming to visit for, I don't know, pick a holiday you want me to visit for. And if you don't back this comic book, I'm not coming this year.
That's a lot of pressure. I feel bad about that.
I know, right, Matt? Your comic book is going to make or break.
Okay, the back it will be fine.
Comics stay for the guilt trips, okay? Come on.
I don't want to ruin Christmas.
Just before Easter, man.
Jesus has risen, and he actually had a copy of Mustn't Tell too. Fun fact.
So true. He loved it.
Let's Lauren, are you? I'm good. Let's move on to something else I want to talk about, which is the Star Wars Acolyte trailer. That has finally came out. All three of us are big Star Wars fans, and it's, as soon as it's dropped, the High Republic era is in full throttle.
Perfect.
And look at this.
I saw DJ Rex in the chat a second ago too.
Oh yeah, that's Robo Bluey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, nice. I just saw Star Wars. That's awesome.
We're all throwing it out here. What were your initial thoughts about the trailer? Are you hyped up, or what did you see in this trailer?
I mean, it was all right. I'm just kidding. I forgot people are like that. It was really cool. I think I'm excited for something like totally different. I hope it's super different. Like I hope it feels weird every episode. Like I want to be surprised and like confused and not know where it's going. And I feel like that's what this is definitely going to be. So I'm very excited. I think it's cool to see the High Republic visualized in this way. I mean, honestly, like it's nice that everyone's excited for it to be the High Republic show, but I hope that there's flashbacks even more like in the High Republic, because right now it's at the tail end of it. I want to see all the characters from the books in some way, shape, or form. Maybe give them their own show eventually. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I think this is going to be one of the coolest things they've done in a while.
Absolutely agree. Now, Trinity, of course, has become a Jedi. And I think Star Wars is at its coolest when it remembers that it's kind of that Shogun samurai era too of things. And that seems to be in the trailer what we're kind of getting some bits and pieces of. I don't also have a feeling that I can never say her name. Amidala. God dang it. I'm so bad with names, everybody. I am so sorry. Anyways, the lead bad Sith lady, because I can't pronounce names.
Rue from Hunger Games?
Yes. Okay. I don't think she's going to end up being the ultimate bad guy, because if anybody knows anything about the High Republic, it's the time where there's plenty of Sith roaming the galaxy. There's plenty of Jedi, and this is kind of like the beginning of the Jedi arrogance, if you will, in this era. And the comic books right now are a lot of fun too. But Lauren, kind of what was your thought on this trailer?
So I know nothing about the High Republic. I haven't read any of them. So I went into it not having a clue, not having any expectations. And I feel like it'll be more like Andor in that dark kind of vibe. Although obviously we're going to get Jedi powers, but I'm excited to dive more into it. And obviously, when I really fell in love with Rebels and a lot of those characters when I read the Thrawn books. So I'm looking forward to then diving into the High Republic and getting to learn a whole other area of Star Wars that I know nothing about. So I'm here for it.
Yes, the High Republic is love. The High Republic is life. People who complain that there hasn't been enough Star Wars, like lightsabers in Star Wars, this is going to be the show for you, man.
Oh, and this scene with the lightsaber that went like sideways, that was really cool. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. And then I know Lauren, also you were dying to talk to Tommy about some Disney. Since we're all Disney lovers in here, we got to get some thoughts
First of all, the Star Tours. I see you're all about the Star Tours lately, man. Those new outfits that they got on the Star Tours is sick.
What about our dumbass selves thought that it had already started? So when Matt was here for MegaCon, we went on Star Tours and we're like, "Come on, Ahsoka! Come on, Ahsoka!"
No, I mean, on the bright side, once it does start, that's all they ever show. They're dirty liars when they say that those things are randomized. I know they're not. I know they're pitching certain things.
Yeah.
But I always see different things, man. I've been on that ride I have no idea how many times I've been on that ride in the past year, and it's always different.
It's like the best Star Wars ride in Disney.
I've gotten crate 40 times easily. Like it's like I like the sequel trilogy a lot. That the Star Tours turns me into like one of those conservative rage baiter YouTuber guys because I'm like the sequel trilogy. Like it's every time I go on, it's just the same like 4 planets every time. I did the after hours a few years ago in like 2018, I think it was, and I was so excited because I was like, oh, we can go on like 3 times in a row and have a different one every time statistically. Like it has to be different. There's no wait. We'll just go right back on, and we got the same one every time. Like each planet was the same one every time. It was
my gosh!
Set up to repeat, I guess. Or
see, I never go on more than once in a day, but that's nuts.
Yeah, but yeah, I want those. Like I want like Naboo. I want Kashyyyk. I want.
Yes.
I've gotten Kashyyyk many times.
I want the one where you chase Jango Fett and he explodes the thing. I never get those. It's a shame. So yeah, so I think once they add Ahsoka in, and Andor and Mandalorian ones, that's all it's going to be for a while, which is fine. Right. It's exciting to see something new.
Yeah. It's always fun though when you get like Leia, and it's old school Leia. But no, I can honestly, because it's the only ride at Hollywood Studios. It's a short wait, and if it's not 5 minutes, we'll come back in 5 minutes, and it'll be 5 minutes, and it's right by baseline. So sometimes I just send my kids on it while I sit and have a beer. But it's just I love that it's always different. I never know what I'm gonna get, but
that's fair. Well, you're so lucky.
Do you have a favorite park at Disney?
It's me or Lauren.
Well, we know Lauren's is obviously it's Magic Kingdom.
Fuck Magic Kingdom.
But no, Tommy, what is your favorite park at Disney World, and what is Disney to you, man? Because I know we're big fans here, and that's why I wanted to talk about it this time. Because last time it was strictly Andor. This time, obviously, we want to talk some comic, but Disney, man. Because when I told you that we were trying to get you booked, and I was like, Lauren's at Disney, we were both just like, fuck Lauren. Like, get her out of here. I said that. First of all, it was me. Anytime I see Lauren, she's like, oh, I'm just at Disney and the kids here. I'm like, screw you, man. It's not fair, okay?
I think when you messaged me the other day, though, man, Logan was just being, oi. That was a rough Disney afternoon.
As far as my favorite park, like Hollywood Studios, like would I think be it, but it's always every ride is like a 2-hour wait. Like there's nothing you can do. It's not fun there. That's a coaster, yeah.
We took like a bunch of them from Olga's Cantina. Of course it is.
But the line's always too long. Like I went there a few years ago with like a big group of people. It was like a work thing. Like it was a really cool experience. But they all like relied on me to show them around and basically lead them. And Hollywood Studios was the first thing that we did. And every single ride had like a 1 to 2 hour wait. And then every once in a while there'd be one for like 35 minutes. Like it would just, how it fluctuates like that. And I was just like staring at my phone waiting for one of those because I'm not going to make them go on an hour or 2 hour long wait.
Right.
But like there was like a small resentment building for me the whole time because I kept being like, well, we can go on Smuggler's Run now, but it is 45 minutes, but that's good for it. And they'd be like, I don't believe you. So it's a really fun park, but the waits are just absolutely insane.
And it's gotten worse since COVID because now you pay for Genie Plus. So I shouldn't say since COVID. It's because during COVID they stopped free fast passes, and now you have to pay for it, and that's making the lines longer. So they've created a demand to have to pay to skip the line.
Yeah,
we can't have anything nice in this world.
Yeah, I would say absolute favorite Disney park is Disneyland. Not like specifically Disneyland. California is great too, but park Disneyland. That one for Celebration Anaheim, I got like a 7-day Disneyland ticket, which they sell apparently. And I won every single day I was there that I wasn't at the convention. It was wonderful. I never got tired of it. It was insane. People were like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. I'm still here.
There's something so magical about it because I've been to Disneyland a few times now, and I would sit at, honestly, I mean personally would sit at California Adventures all day, just at Adventures Campus, watching them fight, because it's the only place that I ever get to see any sort of Ant-Man love, because Ant-Man is like my favorite Marvel hero for some reason. And so I see him, I'm like, oh my god, it's Ant-Man, and I just, every time he walks by, it's Ant-Man.
Well, and when you sit right at the bar there too, you see all the characters go in and out. So it's like, oh, there's Captain America, and you get such great view there. And they have good beer at that bar.
They do. Lauren bases everything she does off of the best beer, and honestly, I do too. But
my one issue with Disneyland, though, with Galaxy's Edge being in Disneyland, is you can't walk around with beer. So it's like you can only drink in the cantina. And like I did ask, can I get a beer to go? And the guy's like, no. He was like offended I asked. Like, how dare you, you stupid Floridian?
They'll kill you.
You're
but like
dead.
on May the 4th, like I love sitting there with the, lavender lager that you can only get in Galaxy's Edge, which is why it's $15 is what I was told. It's the only place in the galaxy you can find it. And just people watching it, all the amazing costumes. Like we saw people dressed full on rebels, because like you're not supposed to dress up at Disney if you're an adult unless it's not so scary. But they turn a blind eye on May the 4th. Don't like quote me on that. Don't go there and have a cast member be like, you can't do that, and be like, well, Lauren on Hobbs Geek News said I could.
Actually, you absolutely should do that, because I want to see what the reaction is, and the reaction is probably going to be like, who?
Right. But I mean, people are dressed. I saw like Kanan Jarrus next to a green Hera. I mean, like people are dressed to the T, and you almost feel like you're on a movie set or off planet. And I could just sit there and go back and forth from the cold brew calf and Black Spire Outpost to the lavender lager that you get in Docking Bay 9. It's lovely. Just sit there and people watch all day.
Yeah. I also agree, like America having a high drinking age and being able to have the weird cocktails at Olga's. I had a weird cocktail recently. I don't remember what the heck it was. It's when Lauren and I were there for MegaCon. We went the night that everybody.
You did a Meg Ryan. You go, I'll have what she's having.
I did. I literally did. But you got to do the Universal After Dark when we were all in Orlando. That was that worth doing again for somebody who might want to go to a convention sometime and do these After Darks?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm sure they'll do it again. When we walked in, there was like a bunch of like Universal managers standing by the ticket thing, and they were all patting each other on the back laughing. They're like, we sold out. This is amazing. So I think they'll do it again. But it was wonderful. Yeah, it was so good. I didn't know that the Marvel area would be open until I got there. Like the website kept changing what would be open. It was like first it was just Jurassic Park and Harry Potter.
You gotta have Marvel after MegaCon, man.
That's what I was saying. I was like, we can lose Harry Potter, whatever. We'll do Marvel instead. But when we got there, they were like, Marvel's open as well. I guess they sold a certain amount of tickets or something. But it was wonderful. We did everything.
It's like their Kickstarter campaign. They're like, we unlocked another stretch goal. You get Marvel now, kids.
I think that's what happened, because I told everyone that it was just the two places. And then everyone started calling. They're like, Tommy, you lied. It's all of them.
You lied.
So
I just love that every bit of advice you try to give everybody at these parks, it turns out to be just inaccurate. And they're just like, Tommy, what are you talking about? You're like, but trust me, this is the spot. And they're like, Tommy, why are we here for 3 hours at this point? Well, I thought you said this wasn't open.
Were Marvel characters walking around in that area?
No.
Oh.
That would have been fun, but they were not. They could have met some of the people that write them, which would have been cool, I guess.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
Like, I'm your god, and they're like, that's weird. I did Dr. Doom's for the first time. For some reason, I was always like afraid of it growing up. I didn't like drop rides. And then my girlfriend made me do Tower of Terror when I went with her, and I was like, oh, I like this actually. So I did that one for the first time, and it is disappointing. It's
like Frogger at the carnival.
Well, they didn't even do that. It just went up, and then it like went down really quick, and then went up, and then just lowered down slowly. I was expecting a lot of like up and downs.
I did that ride once, and I did it with a friend who was a paraplegic, and so like me and another person, probably my husband, each had to like hold one of his legs, and like I lost one of his legs at one point, and his leg goes flying up on Doom. He had a great time though.
That's good. Good.
Yeah. I did the Guardians Tower of Terror in Disneyland. I took my son. He was 6 at the time, but he's tall, man. My child is over 5 feet tall. He's only 8. So he's able to
taller than she's like the same size as my 20-year-old.
He's the same size as her 20-year-old. So I take him on there. The first time he loved it, like had a blast. So I was like, all right, we're doing it again. The second time, I don't know what it is. This kid freaked out, and I have to find this picture.
You know it's coming
then. It's me sitting here looking at him like, what's wrong? And he's just like,
Like, what
This is
changed?
just pure horror and terror, and it's just absolutely and just amazing. And we're having a blast. I'm just sitting here looking like, what is wrong with this child? Like, whose kid is this? And it's clearly mine, but it's
My
the
son
best.
thought he was gonna die. He's like, we almost died on that ride on the Guardians one. He thinks he's too short for Tower of Terror because I don't like drops. So he thinks he's too short for that and Mission Space, and I'm gonna keep that lie going as long as possible.
I did Tower of Terror in Disneyland Paris when we went for Celebration last year,
Oh,
and it was my favorite like ride thing that ever happened. The first one was also Tower of Terror in Hollywood Studios, where for the after hours event they gave out free popcorn, and some girl just like brought it on the ride, and she sat down, buckled
Oh
in,
my
and the worker was like
God.
checking her on the
Bold
seatbelts.
move.
Yeah, he checked over the seatbelts and he looks at her and goes, "You were gonna bring that on the ride?" And it was very funny. But in Paris, we were doing Tower of Terror, which in Disneyland Paris, it's like the same theme as the Florida one, but it's like a lot more like centralized of a story. Like instead of like there's like a ghost girl like haunting it the whole time that like speaks to you in French. It's not just like here's some creepy stuff, have fun. So it's a very confusing ride when you don't speak French because a little ghost girl talking to you. But when we went on it, it's the California system, so it's just back up and down as opposed to like all the other stuff. We went back. We go up to the first little show moment. This girl's talking to us, and all of a sudden, all the sound turns off, and a voice comes on like the little radio saying something in French. We have no idea what it is, and then all the sound just stays off for the rest of the ride, but the radio thing keeps going off with the same message. And then there was a bunch of British teens behind me, like really loud British teens that I guess spoke enough French to realize that they were saying, please put your phone away. Because they have like really strict rules there where you can't have your phone out. So we were riding the ride in complete silence while all these British teens were screaming at the ride vehicle, trying to figure out who had their phone out. And then they figured out who it was, and they were just pointing at the guy and screaming at him for the whole ride while we were going up and down. And all these like scary jump scares were happening in complete silence. It was very funny. And then when we got to back to the bottom, the Parisian worker walked back on, just angry. She was just staring at all of us. She was like, "Who had their phone out?" And then she shamed the guy in front of all of us, and he was like, "I didn't have my phone. I didn't have my phone." Up. He's literally holding the phone in his hand. So she kicked him off the ride, and we all got fast passes to go on again. But it was very funny.
That's amazing. Yes.
The poor guy just holding on to his phone.
We lied, but. It was just the whole ride in complete silence, except for these British teens screaming behind me. And it was the funniest moment ever. It was so confusing.
I love it so much.
10 out of 10 Tower of Terror. Go on the Paris one, but make sure someone has their phone out and there's a bunch of British teens. You'll have the best time ever.
Yes. Peer pressure can be a positive thing. And as we start to wrap up here, peer pressure, we're going to peer pressure you into one thing, and that's going to be to support this Kickstarter campaign for Must and Tell. So Tommy, I want to know, man, what final thoughts, what final words do you have to say about this Kickstarter? Let's get people doing it. You got 1 week to go. Let's do it.
Yes. If you sign up if you pledge the Kickstarter right now, I will whisper a secret into your comic as I pack it up.
Ooh, there we go.
A special bespoke secret just for you. Only you will know. When you open it up, it'll whisper out to you. And that's for you. That's for you to know and for you to find out. I must tell you it. Is that
we're here for dad jokes. Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah.
And where can people find you specifically? And also, do you have any upcoming appearances anywhere? You're gonna be anywhere cool anytime soon that people can run into you at?
I'll be at the Puerto Rico Comic-Con, which is pretty fun.
I'm
just wandering that. I'm helping work it, which is cool. So it's less exciting than tabling myself, but I'll be working there. So if there's anyone from Puerto Rico watching this, you can find me there. I'll probably be tired, which is fine. That's my standard at cons. But that's it. Otherwise, I'm sure there'll be other appearances. I usually go to New York Comic Con. You can always find me there, which is fun. I'm a New York person.
We're trying to get to that one ourselves, so hopefully we can get to that one and we'll bring you better pizza this time if we can get to New York.
If you're in New York, yeah.
Yes, if we're both in New York.
Florida's known for their pizza.
Trust me, we're not going to bring stale Papa John's, although it's convention, so you kind of get what you get. But I'm going to leave the con just for you to get it real good. I'm gonna the Ninja Turtles, the whole gambit. But no, man, it's really awesome. everybody should absolutely, get a chance to look at the artwork and things one more time. Here is the cover for it. So if you're kind of on the fence, please, by all means, this is an all ages comic book. Here's some of the characters that you get to play around with. Here's some of the cool things. And then also you could potentially get like cool, fun trading cards that are once in a lifetime used card salesman. They're going to be awesome. And then Lauren gets her.
I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming this time.
Speaking of that monster, I do want to shout out BA will be tabling in 4-State Comic-Con in Hagerstown. He's writing in the chat. I just want to make sure everyone knows that.
4-State.
He wants me to go. It's a really far drive for me, BA. I'll maybe go. I might be there. Who knows? We'll see.
I have no idea where Hagerstown is, but I feel like it's in Pennsylvania.
It's close. I think is it Maryland? What's the map? I don't even know.
It's in Maryland. I'm 3 hours from Baltimore, so if somebody can give me some sort of directions, I live my life 1 hour away from a city at a time. I don't know. It's Maryland. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to look into that. As we wrap up, there is one more cool thing that I just want to share with everybody since we have an audience. Something that Lauren and I got in the mail. It's X-Men week. X-Men 97 has dropped. It absolutely has flooded me with being a child again. And Lauren and I got to talk to Eric and Julia Lewald. Eric did the show running for it. Julia was writing it. And so they sent us something really cool in the mail, man. And it's signed copies of the first ever page for the script for the X-Men original animated series. Everybody signed it, everything like that. So I had to share with everybody because this is probably like the coolest thing I have ever gotten in my life.
Yeah.
It's absolutely.
They sent a copy to each of our kids. And when we stopped recording, I made a note of my room doesn't just have Wolverine and everything back here. I have a shit ton of Pooh Bear stuff here. And Eric wrote for Pooh Bear, so they also sent me a Pooh Bear script signed by him, which is now framed above some Pooh Bear stuffed animals, because they had compared writing Pooh Bear characters to writing the X-Men characters, because there's nothing that Pooh Bear would say that Tigger would say. So they did a similar as like they're, what Beast would say, you'd never hear Wolverine say. So they compared it like that, which, took two things cool. I love more than you can't go into a room in our house that you can't find Winnie the Pooh or an X-Men.
It's true. It's true.
I think you're about to pull out like a poster or something. Like they sent us a promotional poster. No, you got a really cool thing.
Yeah, no, they sent 3 signed copies of the first page for the first episode. So that was cool. But overall, man, everybody check out this Kickstarter. Tommy, it's always so much fun getting to see you get in the chat. So thanks, man. And anytime you want to come swing through, you have a comic book or even just want to chat, whatever it may be that's on your mind, you got a home here with us. And thank you to everybody for dropping in the chat. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share if you kind of enjoyed the ramblings of a couple of geeks, nerds talking about some cool comic books, Disney. We did just drop an episode, like I said, with Eric and Julia talking about their experience working with X-Men, the animated series. So if you want to dive into that, that's on all podcasting platforms. Go ahead, do that. We dropped on our YouTube channel my panel that I did with Megan from the Vigilante Vibes podcast, also runs the Mediaverse Comics Facebook page. We got to sit with Kyle Higgins on the GalaxyCon Richmond panel Friday night, where we talk comic books you should be reading. And then Saturday night, we did a panel for Batman. My friend brought his camera equipment. It was super professional, probably more professional than I'll ever be in my life. But check those out on our YouTube. And then we're going to be recording about GalaxyCon tonight. We're going to be talking about all sorts of good stuff. So easiest way to find us, Hops Geek News, man. We talk comic books, movies, TV shows each and every week. And then also, in addition to that, we review comic books for nerdinitiative.com every single week. DC starting on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. And then Marvel, Boom, Image, Magma, you name the comic book company, we're going to be talking about it. April 3rd is coming up too. That's a really big day in comic books with Ghost Machine Day. So make sure you get your hands on Minor Threats. Our friend Patton Oswald, we got to talk to him recently. Yes. So check all that stuff out. Thanks for hanging out, Tommy. One last time, man. Yeah. You're always amazing. And we'll see everybody again here soon.
Bye, everyone.